we'll go ahead and wrap this up with the NKBA side of things. There's multiple classes in NKBA here, so we're going to skim the surface so that if you were to take them, at least you'll hear the same knowledge, and if you've already taken them, you'll hear some of the same terms.
What is NKBA?
National Kitchen and Bath Association.
Sounds like a gang.
It is a gang. It's a gang of old ladies. Now, how do I know this?
Sounds intimidating.
How do I know this? NKBA had its origins at, ironically, Virginia Tech. The founding members of NKBA, not just at Virginia Tech, but I just know this because Dr. Lovingood, Dr. Parrott, Dr. Beamish, who taught me, were on the ground floor of setting up this organization. And so I have a little bit more respect, I guess, than a lot of commercial designers do for the NKBA side, because a lot of what they talked about, a lot of what they were teaching us made common sense. And it really is common sense. And the only reason that it came out of come to be, actually, is because so many kitchen designers and bath designers and or contractors were not using common sense to design by or to build by. And so they set up these 31 guidelines to help you design better. Okay, and that's what's in that packet that I gave you, the two of them, kitchen and bath and stuff. In the notes that I gave you, kind of summarizes them in words a little bit. These are the graphics to go along with it. Like I said, we'll touch the highlights. I strongly encourage you to go through this handout. Okay, it is from the NKBA Press. On the back there, somewhere I give them their credit where their credit is due. But like I said in the beginning, I'll have a disclaimer on Blackboard that covers everybody that I use as I get there. Okay? So, the National Kitchen and Bath, basically they just do kitchens and baths. And it is about respecting the anthropometrics of a human being and the workflow that they go through in integrating themselves with the equipment that's being used, okay? I.e. stoves, sinks, toilets, tubs, that kind of stuff. So, when some of the rules that they're working with is no door opening should be less than 32 inches clear, okay? So, clear opening, 32 inches. No cabinet door should swing into a doorway or into a traffic path. Makes sense, right? But yet, at my house, my pantry door opens right into the door opening into the dining room. There's a brilliant idea. Let's open that door into the dining room. Okay? Okay, whatever. You know. So those are the kinds of things that they try and catch. The distances between the work centers. Now, the three work centers we talked about are the three areas for the work triangle. It's the sink, the stove, and the refrigerator. And that distance goes to the midpoint of them. Okay? That distance should be 26 inches, max. And that's linear. I'm sorry, feet. Man, inches. 26 linear, I know, 26 inches, something like that. You know. Wait a minute, that's pretty small. 26 linear feet. So you measure that by going to the midpoint of the refrigerator or stove or whatever, to the sink and back. And then you look at those and you lay your scale on them and you see how far it is between them. If you exceed 26 inches, you should move them closer together. Okay? That 26 inches comes from the fact that you're carrying a hot or cold pot. Okay? And you got to carry it from one area to another. Okay? That's where it's coming from. All right? Work centers should have full height, full depth, and tall obstacles should not be separated by two primary work areas. So, our primary work area are three, right? Sink, stove, refrigerator. I should not have some tall cabinet that separates them. Why? Because if I have a pot and I'm starting to lose its grip and I swing to get it onto the counter, I hit something, I'm going to drop it. Plain and simple. Okay? Work aisles. These are the aisles that you actually work in. 42-inch minimum. So from your, basically your sink or whatever to an island or to a back wall or something should be 42 inches minimum. 48 is preferred. Okay? Because if you, typically if you're in my kitchen, you got multiple people in there, right? Where do people hang out while people are cooking? The kitchen. Okay? And they just happen to be usually under your foot, meaning right behind you, because it's kids or whatever. So you should have 48 inches so that when you step on them, they fall into the cabinet without hitting their head. Okay? I'm kidding. I don't know why they said 48 inches. Okay? Accessible aisles require a 30 by 48 clear floor space at each kitchen appliance. So for ADA, the size of a wheelchair is roughly 30 by 48. 30 inches by 48 inches. So you need to have that clear space in front of each appliance or work center. Okay? You should have a 60-inch diameter turning radius because that's how you turn with a wheelchair. That's how much turning radius you need. Okay? If you get me for commercial, you guys get to sit in a wheelchair and try and navigate one of them bad boys. You have a new appreciation for disabilities after doing that. Or you get to hobble on a crutch, many of us have, and try to open a door. Okay? It's not easy. Cabinet heights. 34 inches above finished floor for work surfaces. We go 36. Okay? 27 for knee spaces. This is all ADA stuff. Okay? 11 inches from the front cabinet. And we'll, actually, let's just do that. So this is the standard they're referencing right here. Okay. 28 to 34 inches for wheelchair accessibility, 27 inches to get your legs underneath it. Okay. 11 inches from the front cabinet for knee space, so up here it's got to be 11 inches right here. 9 inches for your toe kick. You can see how that's much bigger than our toe, right? Knee space should be 8 inches from the edge of the countertop. So 8 inches back for knee space, 11 inches, okay?
Was this like for commercial? I mean, if you're doing
No, they basically took the ADA code for commercial and they applied it to kitchens.
like even like a
Yep, because a wheelchair doesn't change in commercial or residential, so you still need the same clearances. Okay, so and this question always comes
Oh,
up.
I know. So when you get older.
No. The question comes up when you're designing for ADA, why are we designing for a wheelchair? Because the person that is most disabled is in a wheelchair. So you design for the worst case scenario. If you don't want to do that, then you do what we call universal design. And you apply some of the principles, but not all of them. Okay? That's why that is. Now, we talk about wheelchairs, okay, and we think that person is permanently disabled. I know lots of people who are in wheelchairs temporarily. They broke both legs, can't walk. Eventually they heal. Okay, so ADA we think of as for a disability. It is not for a permanent disability. It is for temporary disabilities as well. So, and those disabilities extend to substance abuse, okay, mental disorders, all kinds of things that we don't label as crazy, we label as crazy stuff. There's all a disability, and we have to manage that stuff inside what we do as designers. Not in the residential market, but in the design world. I hate that conversation. Nobody understands it. I had a friend who said once, he's like, he hated ADA because he said, all government buildings have to be accessible. I mean, seriously, a fire station? I mean, who's going to hire a disabled firefighter? And I'm like, seriously, Ted? Think about what you just said. What if a firefighter falls off a ladder and breaks his arm? now he can't open a door. I mean, think about what you're saying. It just, I have very little tolerance for people who don't respect the disability component of our society because of that. All right, walkways should be 36 inches minimum, okay? And that's measured from the countertop edge, not the cabinet. Countertop, because the countertop can come further in. We talked about if you want a larger overhang, all right? Perpendicular walkways should be 42-inch minimum. Traffic clearances. These are always fun because they never make any sense to me. So we're going to graphically show you what they are. Somewhere in here. All right, so you got a dead end. It's 32 inches where you're eating. Okay? So somebody can get by. If you got an open way, it's 36. No, we just said 36 inches clear, right? Okay. So for a walk past, 44 inches. Okay, so what's the difference between that one and this one? Look the same to me.
No, in the walk pass, he's straight forward. He's not turned to the side.
Everybody got that? Everybody see that? Wall pass is somebody walking by. This is somebody trying to sit. Okay? So you have to pay attention to that stuff when you're designing these things. Like I said, the kitchen and bath class covers this in a lot more detail. Okay? Seating clearances there, you guys can read that. We'd already talked about sink prep. You should have one sink adjacent to the work area. Well, dishwasher usually gets put near the sink area. One of the things that you should have is what we call landing side of the major work centers. You should have a landing side on either side of the sink and on either side of the refrigerator and either side of the stove. I get into this argument with my mom right now because she's redesigning her kitchen and she says, oh, I can just put the refrigerator up against the wall. Mom, you do that, what happens if you need to, something's slipping out of your hands, you know, you're like 70 now, okay? You're not gonna always have a good grip on things. Where are you gonna put it? It's gonna fall to the floor, okay? You need a landing area on both sides of these things. Typical landing areas is 24 inches on one side of the sink, 18 inches on the other. Refrigerators and stoves, find those in here somewhere. Cooking surfaces is 12 and 15, okay? And 15 on either side of the refrigerator. Should have 2 waste receptacles in there, okay? One in the cleaning area and one in the prep area. Let's see, auxiliary sinks, we talked about that, talked about landing surfaces. Cooking ventilation, minimum ventilation is 150 CFMs. So your exhaust fan needs to be cranking out 150 CFMs. Okay, now that exhaust fan can exhaust it back into the space or outside. It just depends on your setup or your code. Okay. If you've got ADA, the ventilation controls have to be at the countertop level. Yeah.
How would you exhaust back into your space?
You know, I've often wondered that same question. You can ask my microwave manufacturer. They must have lobbied the code officials for it because most microwaves exhaust back into the space. I don't know why. It drives me crazy because all it does is take the humidity and the cooking stuff and spit it right in my face. But I'm guessing that there are limitations on the number of bends you can have in a pipe for exhaust, and probably some places you can't do that with kitchens, get it there. But I don't know, it just makes, if you can exhaust it outward, you want to exhaust it outward, but that brings a new problem to the table because now all the grease and everything is going outside and sticking to the side of the house. So you have to balance the two. No? You don't follow me? I mean, my cabinets from the boys, where the thing is, it's just caked with just grease. It's like they leave, me and Simple Green, a little bit of grease cutter, clean it back up, and then we start the whole process over again in August. When we go 10 months, then I do the same thing again, and then we just repeat. So it's Groundhog Day over and over and over again. Let's see here. Storage, small kitchens, less than 150 square feet. You should have about 300 inches of wall space, 200 or 520 inches of base, 360 inches of drawer, 180 inches of pantry, and miscellaneous 40 inches. So how you figure that out is the linear feet. Okay, so. If you've got your pantry is 180 inches, you've got 36 inches times 5 is what? 180, right? So if you've got a 3-inch wide, 36-inch wide cabinet, and you've got 5 shelves, you meet the 180. That's how you calculate that stuff. And then you got large and medium kitchens in there. And then it talks about base cabinet stuff. But you can read all of this stuff. Electrical receptacles. Every electric receptacle in the kitchen should be GFI. Okay? Ground fault interrupt. GFI can be GFI'd at an outlet, or it can be GFI'd at the panel box. Okay? It just depends on what your local code says that you're doing. Okay? Has to be. Lighting. Should have good design is going to have 3 levels of lighting in a kitchen. You're going to have general lighting, you're going to have task lighting, and then you're going to have some kind of ambiance lighting. Okay? So your task lighting will be your under cabinet lighting or track lighting, focusing on the work surface areas, or down lights right over the work surfaces, that kind of stuff. Your general lighting is that bulb in the middle of your kitchen, and all good stuff. Any questions on that stuff? I know I blew through it, but quite honestly, you can read it. All right, so when you're doing a kitchen, National Kitchen and Bath uses inches, not feet and inches. And they do that because it is a lot less likely for a contractor to misread something with feet and inches. Okay? You can see when they're doing the whole kitchen thing, okay, they're measuring in the inches. Why do I not have? Do I not have? Okay. All right. All right. You can see here, as you start going down this line, you see this WF3? What do you think that is? WF3. Starts a cabinet run. Wall filler, right? 3 inches. Okay? Here it is as a base filler, BF3. Okay? So the first thing here is you go wall cabinet, 1830L. Okay? That's the manufacturer's L part. But you know that it is 18 inches wide or tall?
Wide.
Okay? 18 inches wide or tall. Wall 1830. You have it in your handout, right? Didn't I hand those out? Okay. What is it 30 inches or is it 18? It's the 18. 18 is wide. How do we know this? Because as you go along, you see 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. That means all the wall cabinets are 30 inches tall. Okay? So this is 18 wide, 30 tall. This is 36 wide, 18 tall because it's over the stove. So it's 36 inches wide, 18 inches tall. This one is a 9-inch wide, 30-inch tall wall cabinet, okay?